That's exactly what he told me. And anyway, I regret to this day not writing this parent. They put us ashore at the British Naval Base in southern England, and I had to go for a debriefing. We had orders after each mission. We had to be debriefed by any Air Force intelligence officer, any American base. I left the rest of the crew with the British, and I got a Jeep and an MP, and he took me to an American base where I was debriefed. And of course, I'm still dressed in what the Air Sea Rescue gave me. I'm dressed in civilian trousers and a long white turtleneck sweater that reached down almost to my knees. I don't have any identification except I could have been a German spy, I guess. But I went to another base, and I hitched a ride on an airplane back to Boston Heath. And I lived in a hut, a Quonset hut that had a small thing, had a bunk in each corner and a stove in the middle, and that's no room for anything else. And there were three captains that lived there. I lived there. I was a lieutenant. And when I walked in the door, they all jumped up and, "Goddamn, Clyde, we thought you were dead. We gave all your stuff away." And my corner was empty. It was a joke. They were really glad to see me.
Did you win, were you awarded any air medals for that mission?
No, I got the DFC for that mission. I got an air medal there someplace. I guess for V-Day, probably got an air medal.
Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Where and when were you born?
I was born in Miami, Florida, 1921, February the 8th. Been here all my life.
And what were you doing before you entered the service?
I was a ground employee for Eastern Airlines.
And were you drafted or enlisted?
No, I enlisted. I enlisted in the aviation cadet program. And that program was, the enlistment procedure was the same as ground troops, except after certain things were done, you went to the cadet program, aviation cadet. Well, actually, I got on a train in Miami, and we went to Jacksonville, Florida, where we stayed about 3 weeks, and were sent home to wait orders for cadet training. And it wasn't but a few weeks, before we got our orders. My orders went to Santa Ana, California. I think cadets in Florida were sent to California, so if they got homesick, it'd be too hard to get home. Anyway, it was 6 days and 6 nights on a train from Miami to Santa Ana, California. You want to hear about training?
I don't have time. How about, where were you when the war ended?
Okay, I was in Abbeville, France, and there was hardly any celebration. There was no celebration by us. We knew it was coming, and it was an anticlimax. In the towns, there were very little celebration. Maybe the larger towns, I don't know.
And how did you return home, and how did you feel about it?
Well, after the war was over, we had all these troops over in Europe. We had to get them back to the States. The largest airline in the world was formed. They called it the Green Project. Air Transport Command, and with the Troop Carrier Command, they took all these C-47 and set up an airline. They set up an airline from southern France down through Africa over to South America, up to Trinidad to Miami. And they ran these airplanes by basing pilots in all of these places along the way. And the pilots would fly one leg, the soldier would get on in France, and they sometimes would not get off of that airplane until they got to Miami. If they got off, it was only while they were fueling, and they had to get right back home. It's kind of like the Pony Express. We changed pilots at every base. And I was assigned to this Green Project, and I wound up being based in Natal, Brazil. My duty was to fly troops from Natal to Berlin, and then ferry the airplane back to Natal every day, back and forth. And my morale was very low. I wanted to go home. I was homesick the whole time, besides being scared after that. And one interesting thing, on one flight from Berlin to Natal, flying back empty, just the pilot and myself on board. I had to relieve myself, and I went to the back. You know, most of these airplanes had a makeshift toilet in the rear. This one had nothing. And my morale being what it was and all, I'm determined to relieve myself, and I found a pasteboard lunch box, and I defecated therein. And now I'm going to throw it out of the airplane, and I couldn't get the cargo doors open. So I tried to open the emergency exit over the wing, and it was so tight. All you have to do is turn the handle, and negative pressure takes it out. But this one was stuck and wouldn't do it. And I lay down and I kicked on it, and I did everything. And when it finally went out, I had such a grip on it that it took my body out of the airplane so far. I was only holding myself in with my upper legs. I was out so far I saw the tail wheel. When I got back in, I went up to the cockpit, and the co-pilot didn't have any idea what was going on. Now, had I gone out of that airplane, that would have been a suicide without any question. But actually, it would have been an accident. And from then on, now when I read about somebody committing suicide, I'm very reluctant with it.
Last question. How did the war affect your life?
Oh, it had a great effect on me. I would never have been a pilot in the war not come on. I had no desire to fly. It was financially impossible. It just wasn't in there. The war taught me to fly an airplane that gave me the ability to raise a family, pay for everything, and a great career. And the other thing that taught me was self-discipline. I probably have more self-discipline than most civilians, simply because of service training. And it was an education in many ways, meeting with such diverse people. And it taught me you can do just about anything you want if you really try. And it really gave me a near feeling to God. I remember when I ditched that airplane in the channel, when I was a real little kid, I was riding with my mother in a Model T Ford, and she lost control. She was dodging the pine trees going through this forest, and she hollered, "Lord help us." And he did. And when I ditched that airplane in that channel, I remember just before we hit the water, I yelled, "Lord help us," and he did. So you learn a lot of stuff.
I wish we had more time, but that's the end of the tape. We'd need a couple more tapes.
Okay.
Thank you.